I'm 28 now, but I'll never forget what happened 6 years ago when I was a college student living with my parents in Jacksonville, Florida. They were both successful business owners who often traveled for work. One week in early May, they were out of town for a conference, leaving me alone in our house, a big place with a backyard pool and gated property. I asked if I could invite a few friends over for a small pool party. Surprisingly, they said yes, on one condition: no alcohol, no loud music, and everyone out by 10 p.m. Naturally, I broke every rule. I invited 6 of my closest friends and told them they could each bring someone. The next night, around 8 p.m., they showed up with girlfriends, snacks, and a ridiculous amount of alcohol. Music blasted from the Bluetooth speaker, the fire pit was lit, and everyone was laughing, drinking, and jumping into the pool. There were 13 of us total, including me. Around 10:30 p.m., I remembered my parents' warning, but I was already buzzed and didn't care. Most of the group was still in the pool, completely hammered, and I stepped inside to grab another beer. That's when I heard it, rustling in the bushes near the side of the house. I paused. We had a tall gate, motion lights, and cameras all over the property. I figured maybe someone stepped out front with their date. I shook it off. By 11:30 p.m., I returned outside with more drinks and snacks. 10 people were still in the pool, splashing and shouting over the music. I noticed 2 others were missing, but I figured they snuck upstairs to hook up. I wasn't about to go investigate. That's when it happened. A scream, sharp and panicked, cut through the music. I ran outside and froze. The pool water was red. My friend's girlfriend had a deep gash on her thigh, blood pouring into the water. She was hysterical, saying something had grabbed her leg and slashed her underwater, and then someone surfaced. Not someone I recognized. He looked to be in his late 20s, tall, pale, long stringy hair clinging to his face, a scruffy beard, and faded tattoos on his chest and arms. He wore nothing but soaked cargo shorts. Without saying a word, he climbed out of the pool and ran, bolting toward the front yard barefoot. A few of the guys chased after him, but he was fast and vanished into the night. Inside, we scrambled. I locked the doors and called 911. The couple from upstairs rushed down, completely unaware of what just happened. Paramedics arrived, took the injured girl to the hospital, and the rest of us sat in silence, wet, cold, and shaken. The cops reviewed our security footage with me. What we saw made my stomach drop. Around the time I heard the bushes rustling, the cameras caught him, hopping the gate, creeping along the side of the house, and walking straight into the backyard. He moved calmly, like he belonged there. At some point, while everyone was drinking and swimming, he slipped into the pool unnoticed. He was in the water with us the entire time. To this day, the police never identified him. No arrests, no leads. My parents were furious. I lost their trust, and they never let me throw another party again. But honestly, I got off easy. We all did. A few years back, I was invited to a graduation party for a kid named Ryan. I didn't know him well, but some of my friends were going, so I tagged along. The party was in a quiet town just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. Big houses, even bigger backyards. Ryan's place had a gorgeous in-ground pool, and when we showed up, the yard was packed. Probably a quarter of our senior class was there. Naturally, we wanted to thank Ryan for hosting, but when we asked around, no one had seen him in a while. A few people figured he was upstairs with a girl or something, so we shrugged it off and joined the party. Music was blasting. Kids were playing beer pong and swimming, just the usual chaos. As the night wore on, people started asking the same question. Where's Ryan? No one had seen or heard from him for nearly 2 hours. A few people had texted him. No response. Still, everyone chalked it up to teenage partying. Maybe he passed out, maybe he was making out somewhere. But something about it started to feel off. Around midnight, I needed to use the bathroom, but the line inside was long. I noticed a door in the hallway that led down to the basement. Figuring there might be a bathroom down there, I went for it. The basement was dark and quiet. 2 doors, one was just a closet. The other was shut tight. I tried the knob, locked, I knocked, nothing. But the lock looked simple, so I gently popped it with my fingernail and cracked the door open. Inside was a pitch-black boiler room. The only light came from a faint yellow glow in the back, probably from the furnace. And in that dim light, I saw someone standing motionless in the corner. I stared. Whoever it was ducked behind something as soon as they noticed me. My heart sank. Was that Ryan? I fumbled for the light and found one of those pull cord switches hanging from the ceiling. I yanked it, and the room lit up with a soft buzz. Cautiously, I stepped forward, weaving between old tables and laundry machines. When I got to the spot where I saw the figure, I found Ryan, on the floor in a pool of blood, unconscious. His legs were covered in stab wounds. I turned toward the door just as someone bolted past it, barely catching a glimpse of their face before they disappeared up the stairs. It was Todd. A quiet kid from our grade, always kept to himself, gave off a weird vibe. A lot of people thought he was kind of off. I didn't know what he was capable of. I didn't know if he had a knife. I didn't try to stop him. But I did run upstairs screaming his name, desperate to make sure others saw him too. Sure enough, a bunch of kids in the living room looked up just in time to see Todd sprinting out the front door. Now, they were witnesses. I led everyone down to the basement. People screamed. Some backed out immediately. We called 911, and Ryan was rushed to the hospital. The police showed up fast. A dozen people backed up what I saw, that Todd was at the party and that he ran after Ryan was found. That same night, cops raided Todd's house and arrested him. I'm not sure if he was charged with attempted murder or something else, but last I heard, he's still in prison. Ryan survived, barely, and the rumor going around was that Todd snapped out of pure jealousy. Ryan was popular, always surrounded by friends. Todd didn't have anyone, and from what I heard later, kids in Ryan's group had bullied him for years. It's not an excuse. What Todd did was inexcusable, but it's terrifying what years of isolation and humiliation can turn someone into. When I bought my first house, I celebrated with a small Friday night pool party. Just a handful of my closest friends. Nothing crazy. Music, drinks, a chance to unwind and show off the new place. By midnight, most people had left. 2 of my buddies, Tom and John, were too drunk to drive, so I told them to crash on the couches downstairs. I went upstairs to get ready for bed, assuming they were already passed out. But as I was changing in my bedroom, I heard a splash outside. I muttered, "What the hell are they doing?" and walked over to the window. Someone was standing in my pool. They weren't swimming, just standing there, waist deep, completely still. I opened the window and yelled down for them to get out before they soaked my floors. The person slowly looked up at me, locking eyes. No response. Just stared. I squinted, trying to figure out who it was. They were wearing a black shirt, but I couldn't tell if it was Tom or John. It was too dark, and I honestly couldn't remember who had worn what earlier. After 10 seconds of this weird silent standoff, I'd had enough. I slipped on my shoes and stormed downstairs, and froze at the bottom step. Both Tom and John were right there, snoring on separate couches. That thing in the pool wasn't either of them. My heart dropped. I sprinted to the kitchen, grabbed the biggest knife I could find, flipped on the backyard lights, and charged outside. The pool was empty. I checked every inch of it, nothing hiding below the surface. Then I scanned the yard. By the trees along the fence line, I saw it. Someone was sitting in one of the low branches of a tree, just sitting there. Even with the knife, I wasn't going near that. I ran back inside, locked the doors, shut every curtain and blind, and sat frozen in the living room next to Tom and John, still out cold. Then I heard it. A slow, deliberate tapping on the glass sliding door behind me. I shook Tom and John awake, begged them to come look. We crept over to the door together, but when they peeked outside, nothing was there. They brushed it off, told me to forget it, and went back to sleep. But I knew someone had been out there. I stayed up all night, checking the windows every few minutes, terrified of seeing someone in the pool again. I didn't fall asleep until the sun came up. By the time I woke up, Tom and John were gone. I texted all my friends, every single one who had been there the night before, asking if any of them had snuck outside as a joke. They all said no. That's when I went into the backyard to see for myself. Near the tree, where I thought I'd seen someone, there was a small stepping ladder. I hadn't left it there. I picked it up, intending to put it back in the shed. But when I got close, I saw something through the shed's tiny window. Someone was inside, watching me. I dropped the ladder and ran back inside, slamming the door behind me and grabbing my phone. While I was on the line with 911, I kept watch from the kitchen window. And then, the shed door opened. A tall, lanky guy stepped out. Messy black hair, black t-shirt, cargo pants. He didn't say a word, just walked to the side gate and disappeared. I gave a full description to the cops. I told them everything. But with no trespassing, no break-in, and no injuries, there wasn't much they could do. All they left me with was advice: install cameras. And I did, within the week. I don't know who that man was. I don't know what he wanted. But I'll tell you this: the next time I hear a splash in my pool in the middle of the night, I won't be checking it alone.